This is the fourth session of the public hearing, and we will be listening to views concerning methods for selecting the CE in 2017.
I will ask deputations and individuals to speak in the order of appearance. You will have 3 minutes each. You hear a bell at the end of the 3 minutes, and you will have to stop. If you have written submissions to give us, please do so, and they will be distributed to members. I'd like to remind you that those who appear to make a submission, what they say is not covered by the Legislative Council Powers and Privilege Ordinance. The same applies to your submissions. Please stay close to the microphone. If you can't hear clearly, please use the earpiece. There are 3 channels: English, Cantonese, and Mandarin. We have given you a notice. Please pay attention to it. After you have spoken, I will ask the Undersecretary, Mr. Lau Kong-Hwa, to reply. Then members may ask questions. Let's start. Mr. Chen He. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to express my views in relation to the proposal. The size of the nominating committee should be kept at 1,200 people with 300 from each sector. When the size is too big, there will be difficulty in operation. Composition of the nominating should be done in accordance with the same formulation of the sectors. Article 45 of the Basic Law says that the CE should be elected in accordance with democratic procedures by a nominating committee. 1,200 people from 4 sectors will meet this requirement. The nominating committee will nominate 2 to 3 candidates. Each candidate will have to get at least half of the committee to support them. The number 2 to 3 will maintain competition. Where there are too many candidates, the procedure may be too complicated. In electing the CE by universal suffrage, there will be 1 person, 1 vote. And the system is first past the post. The central authority will appoint the CE returned. If the CE returned is not appointed, then there will be a fresh election, and the previous person returned will be barred from standing in the election again. Next, Mr. Lee Ching, Miss Angela Lee. Good afternoon. I represent Hong Kong Central and Western District Women Association. We agree that the proposal should be done in accordance with the Basic Law and the NPCSC decision. We think the composition of the nominating committee should be by 4 sectors and 38 subsectors. The composition of the nominating committee should remain unchanged. When it comes to nominating procedure, there should be 2 stages. First, a recommendation by members and nomination by members. People who aspire to be candidates will have to get a recommendation from 120 members in the nominating committee, and each member can only recommend one. And then the committee will vote on those recommended. The 2 to 3 people who get more than half of the votes from the nominating committee will be candidates. At the stage of the recommendation, these people who aspire to be candidates will be able to make known their platform, and the tenure of the nominating committee should be 5 years, and there should be 2 rounds voting system for the election of the CE. If the CE is not appointed by the central authority, the NC will have to trigger the nominating procedure again, and this should be added to the proposal. The chief executive should not be affiliated to any political party, and after the NC is formed, before any nomination has started, there should be an application. There should be a period when people would indicate whether they would like to run, so that they will be vetted. Candidates should be accountable to the central authority, should pledge his or her allegiance to the central authorities and Hong Kong SARG. Mr. Lee Yu-sun. I believe that after Occupy Central, people realized that taking one step to get you to the universal suffrage is actually not a very good thing. The current proposal is actually the choice of a lot of people. It should be done in accordance with the Basic Law and the NPCSC framework. We should have one person, one vote for universal suffrage, universal suffrage for the CE. Some people want a universal suffrage, but it's just a slogan. They are just specious slogans when they say genuine universal suffrage, and we only want one stop to the democracy. An Italian scholar said that it's taken the West a long time to get democracy. Dennis Austin said that the progress to democracy is very slow, and they will have to go through a very slow process of choice. So you must understand that we need stability and prosperity as well. Don't be fooled. And a lot of people think that democratic development should be gradual and orderly. And I think when it comes to the composition of the nominating committee, well, we don't have much time before we reach 2017. We should not waste time on discussion of any change. The composition, election methods should be done in accordance with the proposal. And when it comes to the nominating procedure, well, if it's reduced from 150 to 100, that is desirable. A lower threshold for the entry stage will be better. You can only have at most 200 recommendations. And at the time of recommendation, those people who are recommended should swear allegiance to the Basic Law. Well, 2 to 3 CE candidates will be appropriate. If there are more than 3 candidates, then the nominating committee will have to vote on them. And the 2 to 3 candidates, 2 to 3 people who get more than half of the votes of the nominating committee will become CE candidates. And it should be a simple system. There should not be any blank vote or anything. Only one round of voting, because the more, then the issue will be complicated. Your time's up. Mr. Kwan Kin K. Thank you. Well, I have given the my submission to the Secretariat. Over 2,000 years ago, well, I talk about what happened 2,000 years ago, and also what happened in 1961. And I realized that I did not have 30 minutes to speak. I don't even have 15 minutes. I only have 3 minutes. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I either respect the rules and speak for 3 minutes, or I would freely speak for 3 days, 3 nights outside the council, as long as I don't deprive other people of their rights. Well, universal suffrage is an extension of a representative election. My request is simple. I don't want color revolution. I don't want empty words. I want someone who's ready to sacrifice himself, who can represent Hong Kong people to talk to central authorities, who can liaise with the various sectors on behalf of the central authority to become our chief executive. We are the only place who is allowed to have a capitalist system. The Legislative Secretariat have prepared a lot of information about the legal framework of various election systems in other places of the world. People can ask questions and challenge the proposals. They can also take our judicial review. They should not abuse the power given to them by the people to take away the right of universal suffrage. In 1984, there was the white paper to consult the public about democratic progress. And at that time, the 36 lawmakers did not even have a chance to veto it because they've all been appointed, not elected. They had to listen to the governor, otherwise they would be removed. And now we have over half of the seats elected directly or indirectly. So lawmakers' duty is to act in accordance with the voters' views. If they do not act in accordance with the majority of voters, that means in a very short time, lots of these seats will not be directly elected, because without CE election by universal suffrage, there won't be universal suffrage for the LegCo.
Next, Mr. Lee Kai-ho. Thank you, Chairman. I speak on behalf of the Hong Kong China Chamber of Commerce. We have the following views. First, the CE candidate must maintain the integrity of the sovereignty, and it has to maintain the long-term stability and prosperity of Hong Kong, and this relies on different people, different industries, including the business and industrial sector, the middle class, the professionals, the laborers, etc. They all should endeavor to do this. And to reach the goal of long-term stability and prosperity, we must take care of the interests of different people. And politics is not about a personal interest. It is about the well-being of 7 million Hong Kong people and the long-term development of the SAR. So we have to follow the direction of one country, two systems. And also we should look at the development of Hong Kong society, economy, and politics. This will be conducive to all classes and all sectors, and also the long-term stability and prosperity of Hong Kong. The CE candidates must be nominated by the NC, and the number should be restricted to 3 to 4, and then there will be competition. And at the same time, the procedure won't be too complicated. This would also ensure that the CE will have a higher public acceptance. The NC should be broadly representative, and in such a system, the candidates would have a higher public acceptance. Hong Kong society longs for universal suffrage, and the CE should be selected through one person, one vote. We hope that on the basis of the basic law and the MPCSC decision, all interests of society can be taken care of. We hope that universal suffrage for CE can be implemented, and this would enhance the authority of the SARG. In 2017 is the 20th anniversary of the return of Hong Kong's return to China. In the 155 years of British colonial rule, there has never been democracy. It takes a very long time for democracy to be implemented. We have to make compromise. We have to find common grounds. We also have to be lawful. Only by doing so can we select our CE through one person, one vote. We have to work in accordance with the basic law. Thank you. Mr. Wong for Yam. With regard to the method for selecting CE in 2017, I have the following views. First, the formation and composition of the NC. In accordance with the existing EC, there should be 4 sectors, and each sector would have 300 members. That means in total 1,200 members. And also the 38 subsectors should be maintained. Every present arrangement should be remain unchanged, and I believe such an arrangement would be conducive for reaching a consensus. Second, the procedures. There should be 2 procedures, that is NC member recommendation and NC member nomination. For the first stage, a person should have the endorsement of 150 NC members, and each member can only recommend one person. A person can at most get endorsement from 200 members. As for the member nomination period, each NC member can choose 2 to 3 candidates in the list. For those who get the most votes and for those who get over half of NC members' endorsements can officially become a candidate. As for the voting system, there should be 2 rounds. In the first round, if no candidate gets over half of the valid votes, then the 2 candidates who get the most votes will enter the second round. In the second round, the one who gets over half of the votes will be elected. Fourth, the CE elective is not appointed by the CPG. There should be other arrangements. I propose that the CE election ordinance be amended to cater for this need. Next, Ms. Lam Yuk Hwa. I come from Sha Tin Women Association. In accordance with the basic law, universal suffrage has already been stipulated. This is the aspiration of Hong Kong people. And we have the following views. First of all, composition of the NC. The NC should be formed with reference to the current provisions regarding the EC. This is in line with the MPCSC decision. This decision stipulates the summation of the NC, and this should be in line with the present arrangement of the EC. This is very important for Hong Kong. It serves as a direction for the formation of NC, and this would reduce the waste of time, and we don't have to spend a lot of time arguing. So I think this is the best arrangement. And also for nominating the CE, it should be divided in 2 stages. That is a recommendation and nomination. This is to allow more people who are interested in election to enter the race. So at the nomination phase, it should be in the form of secret ballot. And for the NC term, it should be kept at the existing 5 years arrangement. And according to Article 53 of the Basic Law, in case the CE post is vacant, the NC can still arrange for a by-election. And also for the voting concerning the CE, there should be 2 rounds. A candidate that can get more than half of the votes would be elected. As for the CE elect, if it's not appointed by the CPG, there should be a by-election because the CPG has the substantive power to appoint the CE. Now, if the CE elect is not appointed, there will be problems. So there should be a by-election arrangement in the CE election ordinance. Now, I hope that the Sha Tin Women Association's views can be taken into account and universal suffrage for CE can be implemented in 2017 and we can all have 1% vote. Next, Mr. Lau Shantong. We are medical specialists and we pay attention to 3 major points: efficiency, stability, and democratization under the framework of MBCSA decision. Well, we have reached consensus on several points. First of all, there should be 2 stages. That is NC member recommendation and NC member nomination. A member can only nominate 1 person, and for a person who runs for the election, he should garner 150 votes, and a plenary meeting should be convened for making recommendation. There should be a suitable platform for these candidates to make the views known. A member can at most cast 3 votes, and we support a block vote system. A candidate should be supported by at least half of the NC members. As for the official CE candidates, there should be 2 rounds of universal suffrage. That would enhance the acceptability of such candidates, and the issues that the people are most concerned can be focused on. These are our views. Thank you, Ms. Liliana Au Yim Long. The government is conducting a consultation on the method for selecting the CE in 2017. I have the following views. First of all, for the NC, it should be formed with reference to the current provisions regarding the EC. There should be 4 sectors, each sector 300 members, and the 38 subsectors should be maintained. Number of members should also be maintained. That is, the total number is 1,200. Second, as for the NC electorate and the formation, the present 38 subsector arrangement should be maintained. There should be no changes. Point 3, NC term 5 years, same as the present arrangement, no change. Fourth, nomination procedure. There should be 2 stages: recommendation and nomination. People running for the race should get the endorsement of 150 members, and they can enter the race. And each member can only recommend 1 person, and 1 person can only get the most 300 recommendations. As for nomination, it should be secret ballots, and each NC member can at most cast 3 votes. They should choose 1 to 3 candidates from the list. If there are 2 persons running, they should choose 1 or 2. They should not repeatedly vote for the same person. And point 5, voting arrangement for the CE election, it should be simple and clear. The one who gets the most votes will be elected, and there is no 50% threshold. And also, for the background of the CE, we should stick to the present stipulation in the CE election ordinance. The CE should not have any political affiliation. And if the CE elect is not appointed by the CPG, the NC should restart the nomination procedure. The present CE election should ordinance should be amended so that by-election arrangements can be provided for. We hope that the government can take this into consideration. Next, Mr. Lui Hong Kik. Thank you, Chairman. In the past CE elections, I think many members of the public would have the same feeling as we do, that it is none of our business. We are not involved in the election anyway. However, democracy would progress hand in hand with the economy of Hong Kong. We hope that in 2017, Hong Kong people can enjoy one person, one vote. Rome is not built in one day, and the Great Walls are not built in one day. We know that some people have a utopian picture in their mind. We all long for an ideal world. We all want to be Li Ka-shing, but it's not what will happen. In most democratic countries, I don't think we can see our the utopia in our mind. I think we should be more forward-looking. Maybe our future democratic system would be better than the democratic system in other Western countries. If we do not have universal suffrage in 2017, I think a lot of Hong Kong people will be disappointed. I'm just an ordinary citizen. I want very simple things. I want stability. I want full employment. I want harmonious families. However, in the past few months, we have seen something different, and there have been a lot of internal conflicts. I dare not say who would benefit. However, the government and millions of Hong Kong people have been losers. I hope that we can do things in a lawful and orderly manner so that we can have universal suffrage in 2017. I hope that legislators can pay more attention to people's livelihood, and there should be less filibustering. And the following is my view concerning the 2017 election. There are 4 points. First of all, NC composition 1200. We should maintain the 4 sectors, the existing electorate. Second, nomination. If a person gets over 120 votes from the NC, can be a candidate, and each NC member can only nominate one person. And if a person gets over half of the NC members' votes, then he can officially become a CE candidate, and then we can proceed with the one person, one vote. And if the CE's votes goes vacant, the NC would arrange for a by-election. Fourth, the CE should not have any political affiliation. Thank you. Next, Ms. Betty Yao. Good afternoon, Chairman. I am a mother with 2 kids. I'm just an ordinary citizen. I hope Hong Kong can continue to be stable and prosperous. And here I want to express my views concerning the selection of the CE. For the NC composition, 1,200 members. The existing 4 sectors should be maintained. Each sector should have 300 members. The existing 38 subsectors should be maintained without any change. The number of members in each subsector should remain unchanged.
In the 38 subsectors, the electoral methods they should remain unchanged. And in relation to the nominating procedure, there should be the recommendation and nomination stages. During the recommendation stage, those with 150 recommendations can become a potential candidate. Every member can only recommend one person, and at most one can get 300 recommendations. When it comes to nomination, each member can get no more than 3 votes, and on the list, members can select 1 to 3 candidates, and they cannot repeatedly vote for one. The 2 to 3 candidates who get the most votes and over half of the votes of the NC will become CE candidates. And I suggest that this should be done when it comes to the CE election supplementary vote system. There should be 2 columns. In the first one is the first choice, and the second one second choice. And if there is no second choice, it should be left blank. And in the first round of vote counting, the person who get more than half of the votes will be elected. Otherwise, the ones with the least votes will be eliminated. And two CE candidates will be left in the second round of voting. And then the one who has the most votes will be elected out of the two. If the CE elect is not appointed by the central authorities, then the nominating committee will have to restart the nominating procedure. The CE should not be affiliated to any political parties, just like what it is now. Next, Mr. Chung Fong Chin. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to respond to 4 points, and I'm not going to repeat what has been said, and I'll only talk about my points or where it's different. In relation to the recommendation and the exit stage, there should be more elements added in. Say, for example, 4 debate forums. The candidates should talk to the members of the NC or members of the public directly or through televised debates. In this way, the process will be more transparent and it will be more competitive, and it will also trigger societal discussion. And I support that the administration should continue to talk to pan-democrats. Hong Kong is a metropolis. Our chief executive is very well known worldwide. And yes, the threshold may be higher, but any Hong Kong citizen will, with some efforts, become a candidate. The pan-democrats, you or me, there is no small circle. Our responsible political parties should groom talents. Running for the CE election will be a good indicator. So you will have to put in place a high threshold so that only the one with a high caliber can run. If you have no talent, you should not be allowed to run. Pan-democrats should not be the opposition forever. Your second or generation can become chief executive as well. They always imagine that they've been suppressed politically, that they've been abused. And they always said that they will never have a chance to run in the CE election. There is no suppression. You have a chance. It's just that there is a demon inside yourself. The administration and the central authorities are actually your friends. Some pan-democrats would like 4 or 5 of their members to vote for the proposal, because if the proposal is not endorsed, Hong Kong people will blame them. But they don't want to cast the votes themselves because they don't want to lose their seats in the next election. Universal suffrage in Hong Kong is an important chapter. Your contributions will be written in history, in school textbooks, and you'll be respected by your posterity. Ms. Chung, I agree that the proposal should be implemented in accordance with the Basic Law and the August MPCSC decision. And these are my views. I agree with the composition of the nominating committee. It should be done in accordance with the 4 sectors and 38 subsectors. That is a current arrangement. The term of the NC should be 5, so that there can be a by-election when the CE post is left vacant. And that should be recommendation stage and nominating stage. If you get 150 recommendations from the NC, then you can become a candidate. And every candidate can only recommend 1 candidate, and every candidate can get no more than 300 recommendations. And in this way, people with aspiration will get a chance to become a candidate. And this is also to ensure the sufficient choices. And from the list of candidates, every member of the NC can vote for 2 to 3. Those who have got the most votes and have half of the votes of the NC can become CE candidates. Each member will have 2 to 3 votes. This is conducive in generating 2 to 3 candidates. The nominating committee should by plenary session nominate candidates. This will be a fair chance for candidates to explain their manifesto to get support. I have to ensure that there is substantive right of appointment by the central authorities in order to avoid a constitutional crisis. And the CE should not be affiliated to any political parties. That's all I want to say. Thank you. Next, Mr. Lam Chen Wing. The administration has launched the second consultation. I agree with Universal Suffrage for CE in 2017. It should be done in accordance with the MPC-SC August decision and the Basic Law. And these are my views. The size of the NC should be kept at 1,200. That is 4 sectors with 300 members each. And there should be 38 subsectors, just like the current system. Election arrangements should be unchanged as well. That should be the recommendation and nomination stage. If you get 150 votes, you will be a candidate. Every member of the NC can only recommend one person. And there will be a voting on each person seeking nomination. The 2 to 3 candidates who have got the most votes will become CE candidates, and it should be done by secret ballots. The term of the NC should be 5, so that there will be a by-election when the CE post is vacant. If the central authority does not appoint the CE-elect, the nominating committee should trigger the nomination procedure again. The CE should not be affiliated to any political parties. That's all I want to say. Ms. Ma. Peggy Ma. In relation to the CE election in 2017, all procedures should be done in accordance with the Basic Law. The nominating committee should be kept at 1,200. And in accordance with the existing arrangements, that is 4 sectors and 38 subsectors. This system has been in practice for a number of years. It's very stable and it's accepted by the public. There is no need for change. Number of CE candidates should be kept at 2 or 3. They be voted by one person, one vote. The one with the most votes will become the CE elect. 5-year term for the NC because there will be because they can conduct a by-election when the CE post is vacant. CE should not be affiliated to any political parties. Thank you. Mr. Lam Ka-shing. In relation to the 2017 Chief Executive election, these are my views. First, CE should not be affiliated to any political parties. Size of the NC should be kept at 1,200, in accordance with the existing 4 sectors. Each sector will have 300 members. The term of the NC should be 5 years. Voting arrangements for the CE should be the first past the post. Thank you. Next, Mr. Lam Chun-hap. I agree that the CE election should be done in accordance with the Basic Law and the NPCSC August decision. And in the second round consultation, these are my views. First, the NC composition should be done in accordance with the current procedure, that is 4 sectors, 38 subsectors. Size of subsectors and election procedures should remain unchanged. Electoral base of the 38 subsectors should remain unchanged. The NC should have a term of 5 years, because they can conduct by-elections when the CE post is vacant. 1 person, 1 vote for the CE election, and it should be done by first past the post. If the central authority is does not appoint the CE elect, then the NC will retrigger the nominating procedure. CE should not be affiliated to any political parties. Thank you. Ms. Young. These are my views in relation to the CE 2017 election. Nominating procedure. Every member of the NC can only nominate 1 CE, and every candidate should get at least 100 nominations. Nomination should be done by plenary session, providing a platform for the candidates to explain their manifesto. Each member can only have no more than 3 votes to select the CE to vote on the candidates. There should be 2 rounds of voting. Thank you.
Next is Lam Chun-ling. Thank you, Chairman. With regard to the government's second round of consultation, please back into the microphone. First, the NC may be formed with reference to the current provisions regarding the EC, that is 4 sectors, 38 subsectors. They should remain unchanged. The electorates of 38 subsectors should also remain unchanged. As for the nomination procedure, should be divided into recommendation and nomination stages. The NC should have 1,200 members. However, the electorate can be expanded and the acceptability should also be enhanced. That is, if you get 1/8 of the votes, that is 150 persons votes, then you can become a CE candidate. Each member can only nominate 1 candidate. Each NC member would have to vote on the names on the list, and those who get the most votes will become official candidates. And the number should be about 2 to 3. The NC should convene a plenary meeting to make a recommendation, and they should also take this opportunity so that they can listen to the platforms of the candidates. And the candidates can also explain their platforms to the public so that common grounds can be found and consensus can be forged. The NC term should be 5 years. And if the EC's post becomes vacant, by election can be organized. The CE that's elected will take up the remaining term of the former CE. As for the voting, it should be conducted in 2 rounds. And if the CE elect is not appointed by the CPG, the NC should restart the whole nomination procedure. Article 44 of the Basic Law should be looked at for the permanent Hong Kong residents that are living outside Hong Kong should be given time to come back to Hong Kong to cast their votes. We should maintain the long-term stability and prosperity of Hong Kong. Sovereignty, safety, and development of the state should also be paid attention to. This is my report. Mr. Choi Siu-Fung, I have a lot of views concerning the selection of the CE in 2017. My views are similar to the previous speakers. I agree that universal suffrage be implemented. In 2017, I do not like the term pocketed first. However, if we do not pocket it first, then 2017 is just around the corner. We will be at an impasse. If we do not take a step forward, how do we know the way forward? It seems that our generation has to pay back. In 15 or 20 years' time, it will be our world. So please think twice. Young people like us should be given the opportunity. We should be allowed to see the next step and then the following steps. Thank you, Mr. Lam Wai Kang. I come from the Hong Kong Mass Transit Railway Staff General Association, and we have the following views. First of all, our association supports the decision of the NPCSC on the 31st of August. The universal suffrage of the CE should be implemented in 2017. As for the NC member number 1200, there should still be 4 sectors and 38 subsectors, no change. And second, the nomination procedure for CE. The NC should make recommendation first, and then there should be a nomination process. For example, a person that gets 100 or 150 endorsement from the NC, then he can become a candidate, and then each NC member can only recommend 1 person. And then the NC members would vote on the people on the list. The people who get the most votes and get over 50% endorsement of the NC can become official CE candidates. There should not be more than 3 CE candidates. Voting method. The person that gets the most votes will be elected. A CE returned in this way would have the highest acceptability to cost is lower. The procedure is simpler. For NC term, it should be 5 years. So if the post of CE goes vacant, a by-election can be held. The present CE election ordinance should be amended so that by-election arrangements can be added. If the CE elect is not appointed by the CPG, appropriate arrangements can be made. In Hong Kong now, there is no political party law, so a CE should not have any political affiliation. The Occupy movement brought about a lot of damages to Hong Kong. We hope that honorable members and political parties can reach consensus on our constitutional development in this round of public consultation. And by doing so, we can have universal suffrage in 2017. We do not want any political disputes. Thank you. Next, Li Yunting. I have the following views. As for the NC, we should keep the existing 4 sectors and 38 subsectors. The formation and number of members of the subsectors should remain the same. The electorates should also remain the same. The reasons are this system has been operating for a number of years, is relatively stable, is accepted by Hong Kong people already. And 2017 is the first time that we can have 1 person, 1 vote in Hong Kong. So the most important thing is to realize 1 person, 1 vote. Earlier on, the Occupy movement has wasted a lot of Hong Kong's time. We don't have we don't have much time for further consultation. So I hope that we can forge consensus, and maintaining the status quo is the best way. So when it comes to voting the CE, we do not want 2 rounds because that would be a waste of time and resources. And also, we can ensure that the person that gets the most votes is actually the most acceptable candidate. We do not want a complicated voting procedures because it's very difficult to comprehend and to operate. The CPG has the substantive right to appoint. If the CE elect is not appointed by the CPG, in order not to fall into a constitutional crisis, the NC should restart the whole procedure. The CE election ordinance should be amended so that appropriate arrangements can be added. In 2017, I want universal suffrage to be implemented. We only have very limited time before that. So in the meantime, we shouldn't add any new FCs. So all the FCs should remain unchanged. We hope that universal suffrage for CE can be implemented as early as possible. I hope our points can be taken into account by this panel. Thank you, Mr. Chong Kin Fong. Thank you, Chairman. With regards to the method for selecting the CE in 2017, I think we should follow the basic law and the MPCSC's decision. And we should also have a rational and pragmatic discussion. At the LegCo, we still need 4 more votes for passing the government's proposal. I think the Pan-Democrats should reconsider the consequence. If they veto the government's proposal, would they bring about a better future for Hong Kong? If they continue to resist the government, would they bring about a better system for Hong Kong? How can we trust the Pan-Democrats for bringing forward Hong Kong's democratic procedures? It's decided by the NPC that in 2017 universal suffrage can be implemented in Hong Kong. However, it's reiterated that the CE should be nominated by a broadly representative nominating committee. It's already made very clear by the CPG, so it's not it has nothing to do with going back on its word. And after the MPCSC made its decision on the 31st of August, there is still room for our discussion. The NC has 1,200 members and is going to nominate candidates so that Hong Kong people can enjoy their 1 person, 1 vote. If this can be done in 2017, it will mean a major progress. As for the nomination procedure, I think that a lower threshold should be adopted, for example, 1/8 or 1/10. And after the or between the entry stage and the exit stage, I think that we can make reference to the past electoral methods. For example, TV debates, seminars, public debates, etc., so that the public would know the performance of these CE candidates, and then the NC will come to the stage of formal nomination. I think that implementing a universal suffrage in 2017 is very positive for the future of Hong Kong. I hope the Democrats can think twice so that we can have more room for discussion. I don't want Hong Kong to be further divided. Otherwise, we will have more social problems. I hope that the Democrats will vote for the government's proposal. Next, Mr. Lo Sijing. I am the representative of the Motor Transport Workers' General Union. I have the following views. First of all, for the CE candidate, he must love Hong Kong, love the country, and he must love the People's Republic of China. He must love the special administrative region of Hong Kong. He cannot confuse people. He must make this point very clear. We agree with the NPCSC's August decision. That is, the NC should have 1,200 members, and there should be 4 sectors, 38 subsectors. As for the number of members, the formation, the electorates of the subsectors, they should all remain the same, because this is in line with the basic law. The NC will be broadly representative, and also this has been our time-honored practice. Is relatively stable. We should make reference to this so that there will be less disputes in society, and for consensus can be forged as early as possible. As for the NC's nomination procedure, we suggest that it should be divided into 2 stages. That is recommendation and nomination. Recommendation for any person who's eligible, if he can get 150 members' support, then he can run in the race. Each member can only recommend one person, and the person can get at most 300 votes. As for the nomination stage, it should be secret ballot. Each member can choose at most 3 persons, and for the people who get the most votes and over 50% of NC support, they can officially become CE candidates. Universal suffrage arrangements, there should be 2 rounds. In the first round, if no candidate gets over half of the votes, then the 2 persons who get the most votes will enter the second round, and the person who gets over half of the votes will be elected. If a person gets over half of the votes, it would enhance his acceptability. And we also suggest that if the CE elect is not appointed by the CPG, the whole election procedure should restart. That is, the NC should restart the nomination procedure.
假設行政長官
If the CE post is left vacant within 6 months, there can be a by-election to select a new chief executive. Mr. Tong Kang Yew. The 2017 election will be the first time when Hong Kong has 1 person, 1 vote to select our chief executive. This is a significant event politically, and I hope that Hong Kong people will be pragmatic, and Hong Kong people will put down their differences and take into account the interests of various sectors, which will be conducive to Hong Kong's economic development. I hope the government will do its best to forge consensus so that we will have 2017 universal suffrage. The 2017 CE election should be done in accordance with the Basic Law and the NPCSC August decision. That is 300 members from each of the 4 sectors, total of 1,200 people in the nominating committee. The nominating committee should have a term of 5 years, and Article 44 should be fulfilled. That is, the CE should swear allegiance to Hong Kong SARG, should be at least 40 years old, and should not have right of abode of other places, and should be a Chinese citizen, and no political affiliation. The CE candidate should get 120 nominations, and they should be institutional nomination. There should be 3 candidates for Hong Kong people to vote on. The number is set as 3 because this will safeguard the competitiveness of the election and avoid having too many candidates, thereby complicating the procedure and wasting a lot more resources. 2017 CE should be done by 1 person, 1 vote. If the central authorities do not appoint the CE, then the NC should start the nominating procedure again. And this should be added to the proposal. Before we have the next chief executive, then the incumbent executive and his team will be transferred to a caretaker government until the new CE is elected. Next, Anthony Fan. Where are the Hong Kong Guangxi youth organizations? The 2017 election is a huge step forward. This is related to long-term prosperity and stability, and also in the interest of the mainland. And it should be done by gradual and orderly manner. We should refer to Article 45 of the Basic Law. We should abide by 1 country, 2 system in accordance with Hong Kong law, take into account various interests of our sectors, and to achieve balanced participation, it should be orderly and it should be gradual and orderly, taking into account Hong Kong's situation. We support the 2017 CE in accordance with the Basic Law and the NPCSC August decision. And these are our views. First, nominating committee. There should be a nominating committee with broad representativeness. The composition should be in accordance with the current arrangement, that is 4 sectors, 38 subsectors. Number of members, delimitation, electoral base should be done in accordance with the relevant provisions of the election committee, because this practice has been in place for quite a number of years and accepted by Hong Kong people. And that should be a recommendation stage and nomination stage. If you get 150 recommendations, you become a candidate. A candidate can only recommend 1 person. A candidate cannot get more than 300 recommendations. This is to ensure that there will be 4 to 8 candidates on the list. Every NC members can choose 2 to 3 candidates out of the list. Members cannot select the same candidate more than once. Candidates with 2 or 3 candidates with more than half of the votes of the NC can become CE candidates. We think that members having 2 to 3 votes will give freedom of choice to the NC members, and it will generate 2 to 3 candidates. Nomination should be done by plenary session. The chance should be given to these candidates to explain their platform to get support. Thank you. Mr. We represent Hong Kong Guangxi Sports Association, and these are our views. It can be 1 vote, 2 votes, and maximum 3 votes. Nominating committee members can select 2 to 3 members. Members should not vote more than once on the same candidate. 2 to 3 members with more than half of the votes can become CE candidates. This will give freedom of choice to the NC candidates, and this will generate 2 to 3 candidates, which is in line with the NPCSC August decision. In relation to the voting arrangements, it can be by first past the post, 1 round of voting only. The one who gets the most valid votes will be elected. No need to have more than half of the votes. And there should be 2 rounds of votes, and the 2 who have got the most votes will enter the second round of voting. And there should be recommendation and nomination stages. A candidate should get 100 recommendations. A member of SC can only recommend 1 person. And there will be voting on each person seeking nomination. 2 to 3 members who've got more than half of the votes can become CE candidates. The NC should be composed of 4 sectors and 38 subsectors. The election method, electoral base, delimitation should be kept unchanged. It's been practiced for years. It's stable, accepted by Hong Kong people. 2017 is the first time when Hong Kong has universal suffrage by 1 person, 1 vote to select a chief executive. It's meaningless to get bogged down with the composition of the nominating committee. We hope that after the second round of consultation, in the first half of April, there will be a proposal for CE election to trigger the 3rd step for the council to vote on, so that we can get universal suffrage as soon as possible. 3 members have not spoken. I will invite them to do so. Is Ms. Chair. I have some questions for Democrats. What is public opinion? Earlier on, the Ming Pao engaged the POP to conduct a poll. 56% of the respondents said that the LC should endorse the proposal. 34% of the people objected to it. And if the administration undertakes that in 2022 there will be more democratic elements, then 64% of the respondents support the proposal, and only 23% of the respondents object to that. What does this show? It shows that Hong Kong people are more pragmatic than our lawmakers. You are lawmakers. You represent Hong Kong people. You should respect public opinion and act it accordingly. However, I see a lot of Democrats at the start of the second round of consultation said that they are going to boycott this consultation. And they said that even the majority of Hong Kong people think that the proposal should be endorsed, that they will still object to it. If the Democrats think that this is not a feasible proposal, that they should convince Hong Kong people. And a lot of Hong Kong people think the proposal should be endorsed. I have a question for the lawmakers. Shouldn't they listen to the public? If they do not trust the public, then how can they serve Hong Kong people to fight for democracy? I'm still young. If you ask me to wait for 2046, I can still do so. But a lot of elderly people told me that they would like to cast a vote to select the chief executive. before they die. I hope Pan-Democrats will listen to Hong Kong people and will genuinely serve Hong Kong people so that we have one person, one vote for Chief Executive in 2017. Mr. He Dan, the Electoral Affairs Commission just now announced the number of voters in 2014. There are about 40,000 voters. Most of them are young ones. Why did I say that? Whether you're a loyalist or you're Pan-Democrats, you will agree with me. This may not be a perfect proposal, but I hope that lawmakers will vote for this proposal. This may not be an ultimate scheme. All of a sudden, a lot more youngsters have registered to be voters. I hope that a chance will be given to them to cast a vote to select the Chief Executive. I hope you will be pragmatic, you will be rational, and think about Hong Kong's future constitutional development. Should we keep bickering, or should we at least take a step forward? If you refuse to take any step forward, there is no progress, and it's not good for Hong Kong. Thank you. Mr. Zimmerman.
Chairman, members, I'm a Chinese citizen and a permanent resident of Hong Kong with no right of a vote in any foreign country and have ordinarily resided in Hong Kong for over 30 years. Hong Kong is my home and I'm committed to make it a better place for all. I'm very concerned about the discord between the central authorities and the Hong Kong community over political reform, over the constitutional arrangements between our city and Beijing. I'm very concerned over the initiatives from our local authorities. As the chair of the Policy Committee of the Hong Kong Democratic Foundation, I've urged the government to make haste in paving the way for abolishing corporate voters. Without this, the promise of future political reform can't be substantiated. It has not passed. The failure of the local government to bridge the gap and failure to speak on behalf of all its citizens has been a very big disappointment. This has impacted harmony in society, divided families, and raised questions about the political stability in Hong Kong among the international community. The successful reunification of Hong Kong and the mainland was always going to be a challenge for everyone, the community, politicians, local and central government. With the basic law as the bare bones roadmap, dialogue is crucial, as is respect for each other's circumstances. The national and local circumstances must be reflected in the characteristics of our future political system. Besides the basic law, it must take into account that many people in Hong Kong, their parents, grandparents, cousins, left the mainland for their own reasons. Their children are growing up with Facebook and every possible freedom imaginable. The youth is acutely aware of the restrictions on these freedoms and Facebook on the mainland. For China to assume the role of a leading nation in the community of nations, it must have the confidence to allow its citizens to freely express their hopes and aspirations. It must respond to the needs and demands of its citizens in an open and transparent manner and recognize the need and the respect their political rights. With its veto on the appointment of the Chief Executive of Hong Kong and the Basic Law, the limitations on self-determination in the election of the Chief Executive are entirely unnecessary. I urge the authorities to reunite the Hong Kong community and the Hong Kong community with the mainland community and show trust in the citizens. Hong Kongers are proud to be Chinese. They fully understand the challenges of the fast-paced development of China. By allowing Hong Kong people greater freedom in administering Hong Kong, they will be more united, not less, with a political system that puts the responsibility on themselves. By increasing state control over the administration of Hong Kong, taking a hard line on politics, unity is put at risk. And the responsibility and blame will only be on the central authorities. And why promote subversion? Thank you.
好啦，就各團體代表同埋個別人士分別嚟。
Okay, so we have heard a lot of views, and I would like to invite the Under-Secretary to respond. Thank you, Chairman. I would like to thank the representatives for coming to the public hearing today. I've heard a lot of valuable views. Just now, many of you said that you hope that the CE can be returned by universal suffrage in 2017. And you also said that all these have to be done with reference to the basic law and the NPCSC decision. Also, many of you have expressed your views in accordance with a consultation document. You have answered our questions one by one. We will take your opinions into consideration. Several of you mentioned the NC recommendation. You said it should start with a recommendation, and then there should be another stage of nomination. This is an unprecedented procedure. We hope that through this procedure, the people running for the election can face, or the people in Hong Kong, they can introduce their platforms to people, and there should be debates, TV debates, etc. It should be more transparent and more competitive. So when it's compared with the previous elections, it would be more transparent and competitive. So these people who want to enter the race would have to fight for nomination. Nobody would be excluded. And of course, we would not guarantee that everyone can become a candidate. So that's why there will be a keen competition, and it will be keener than the previous elections. And we are also happy to hear from some of you. You are young people, and you hope that you can really cast your votes this time around. So I hope that you can call on other young people to vote. In the future, this system can be improved bit by bit. But if this proposal is vetoed, we don't know when the whole procedure can restart again. And a number of young people have also expressed their concern about this. I also appreciate some of you have given us encouragements. You hope that we can make the most effort to try to talk to certain legislators. I can assure you that we have been working very hard. We have never given up for a single moment. I know this is a difficult task, but we will continue to communicate with different legislators. We hope that we can forge consensus in certain areas. Your views and your voices are equally important. So I hope that you can continue to speak out. You should talk to your friends, and most importantly, you should let the legislators know what you think. Does any member want to ask questions? Mr. Chen Kem Lam, 5 minutes. Thank you, Chairman. I would like to thank the friends for on deputations for coming to today's hearing. Your views are very useful. In particular, some of you have given us some concrete views concerning the way forward. I'm sure you have really looked into the proposal. Mr. Kwan King Kei attaches importance to the rule of law. He speaks for 3 minutes in the council instead of protesting outside. I think this is good. And I would like to ask you, lately, some people say that if you pocket it now, you would have to pocket it forever. So that's why you definitely should not pocket the proposal now. So I would like to ask you, this proposal may not be the ultimate one. Would you be willing to take the first step on the way of constitutional development? This is part of our democratic progress. In the future, there can be improvements and refinements. I would like to hear your views about this point. Who would like to supplement? Mr. Chong Fangqin? Well, I would like to talk about pocket it first. Actually, it is a very sophisticated philosophy. Low-level people cannot grasp it. A successful person would know how to think long-term and would have contingency plans in place. This is contingency. In the short term, there are a lot of opportunities. This is a good opportunity to seize. A lot of people and media criticize pocket it first. Actually, pocket it first is very good. If you elect a person as a party's chairman, it may be just a pocketed first option, because we need to look at things in the long run. So I think at the moment this is a very good choice. We should pocket it first. Anyone? Mr. Zimmerman.
Unless there are solid confirmations about how we're going to progress on our political reform package, there is no pocketing first. I mean, there is no commitment in any way, and we have seen no effort from the administration to work on, for example, the election method, working with the FCs. I've been in your office. We've discussed this. I've seen no effort from government on actually working with the functional constituencies towards abolishing the corporate voter system. So there has been no effort. There are the promises for future progress is so far what we have seen are anti-promises. So I don't think there is anything to ride on for the community or the politicians to actually consider any pocketing first. Thank you.
Mr. Chen Kam-leung, some people think that we should achieve things overnight. This proposal may not be ideal, so you don't accept it. You want to achieve your ideal overnight, and you call that a genuine universal suffrage. But if you ask this kind of people what universal suffrage really means, they would only say civic nomination. In accordance with Article 45 of the Basic Law, there is no civic nomination. I believe you are very clear about this. In the past few days, I've heard Mr. Tik Chi Yin said he's a member of the Democratic Party. He spoke his mind. He said that for the present proposal, if we do not accept it, it's impossible for us to move forward. I think many people who are pragmatic will think like this. This is about Hong Kong's democratic developments, and we all need to be bold to achieve that. I hope that you can talk to more people in the community. Mr. Alan Leung. Thank you, Chairman. First of all, I would like to thank the deputations. This is a Saturday afternoon, and you are spending your precious weekend here. I am really grateful. I would like to ask you questions. Well, I do not bet on horse racing, but if there are 10 horses in a race, and if 10 of them enter the race and only 3 exit, if you have placed a bet, what's your reaction? Of course, you would ask the jockey club to refund you. Of course, they are rigging the race if they do that. So the problem is, who decides which 3 horses can exit the gate? Of course, it's the CPG. So do you think you have a real choice? I can cite another example. You may still remember this. Last year, that was the Miss Hong Kong pageant. And it seems that the audience really liked one of the participants. And TVB organized this sort of so-called Universal Suffrage, and you can press a button on your remote control to choose the lady you like. However, at the last moment, when you are ready to press your button, you find that the lady you like is not on the list. And then you discover that there was this so-called expert panel that screened her out. These 2 are live examples. Do you think this would give you a real choice? Why do I always emphasize on real choice? Just now, some people asked what is meant by genuine universal suffrage. It's not something complicated. It means that you have a real choice. However, now you don't have a choice. Now people screen the candidates first, and then you can vote. Do you call that a real choice? Lately, our president was interviewed, and he said that if you are only left with C.Y. Leung and 2 of our colleagues, I'm just repeating what's said in interview. I'm not trying to offend anybody. If you are left with C.Y. Leung, Christopher Chung, and Ann Chen, and how would you choose? And our president said, that's not too bad. Now the undersecretary always asks you to pocket it first. This can be further improved. How can it be improved? Okay, now there are 2 to 3 candidates, and if it's increased to 3 to 4 persons, also on top of those 3 candidates, you have Paul Chen. And if for the NC, the member number is increased from 1,200 to 1,600. So what? It's still screening. The lady you want to choose is still not on the list. So what's the use of it? And Mr. Raymond Tam was very frank. A few days ago, he said this.
Now, he said for the 3 gates proposed by the NPCSC, 1 gate is fixed. That is, there must be the candidate must have endorsement of half of all the members. That means the Hong Kong SL government will have at least 50% control over it. So my question is this. Under such circumstances, do you think that we should still pocket it first? Because if we pocket it first, then the CPG could tell the international, to tell the world that they have complied with Article 45, and that for C.Y. Leung, with just 689 votes, he could claim to have legitimacy, like he already had 689,000 votes. So let's say who would agree to vote pocketing it first. There is no stipulation in the basic law on beauty pageants and the horse race. Let's hear from the next deputation, Mr. Chung Kwok Chin. Well, in the process, we already make an assumption that the Central People's Government would control the candidates who can become eligible. But let's say if indeed the CPG will control the candidates or so-called horses that could join the race, then that means if something goes wrong, like the Jockey Club, which will make rebate to the punters, the CPG would bear the responsibility. But what if we follow you? Who should be responsible? Well, about the beauty pageant, Miss Hong Kong, there is a judging panel, which is different from the so-called Universal Suffrage by all people in Hong Kong. That means we can have diverse views on the same matter. But quoting from the same example, in a beauty pageant, you can change the order of candidates. That is for the candidates recommended to hold another meeting with the public, for the public to understand them better before they are further being judged by the panel. Who else would like to supplement? Anyone? Yes, at the back, Mr. Stephen Ho. Thank you, Chairman. Well, just now, I heard different views from members and deputations. Most of them are in support of the proposal under the framework in the second round consultation. And just now, one of the deputations asked whether the Pendants would listen to the views of the people. And after the Central People's Government announced the 31st August decision, they already said that they would veto anything under the August 31 decision. But there is no need to ask more questions. This is about whether they have faith. They can't find any excuse to backtrack. So sometimes, for the sake of our system in Hong Kong, if we want to take a step forward, we need to make sacrifices, and we perhaps will have to put our faces aside. Just now, about the analogy of horse racing, I don't think it is relevant. How can we compare CE's election with horse racing? The gates are not the same. Is this a step forward? Well, I'm not saying that the CE elected by the 1,200 strong EC is a bad system. In some way, it's rational. But now, we have improved from the 1,200 EC, because this is the basis, and we've made improvements. Now, the CY Leung was elected by the 1,200 strong EC. And some questioned whether the 7 million people in Hong Kong would have no alternative but to accept the CE elect. But we need to make it clear that this is an improvement, because all eligible voters can vote on the recommended candidates endorsed by the NC. And most importantly, we're not rejecting or refusing anyone in Hong Kong to stand in an election. This is for maintaining stability in Hong Kong and preserving the sovereignty of our motherland. If you want to elect someone who is antagonizing with the mainland, then what will be our future? We must keep a harmonious relationship with the mainland, and our chief executive must be a competent middleman to negotiate on the CEPA agreement. Well, maybe if the CE elect wants to have self-sufficiency in Hong Kong, then, well, I may stand to benefit. But what is important, that we must not choose someone who goes against the mainland. Maybe the candidate could be someone who may not be on good terms with the mainland, but at least some negotiation could be done. As long as he has the support of half of the 1,200 members of MC. and then he can be up for election by 7 million people in Hong Kong. Even for political parties between the Pandems and the pro-establishment camp, we also have somebody who goes down the middle of the road approach. But in the future, well, last time Mr. Alan Leung already said that he does not support the independence of Hong Kong, but what he does is can't tell lies, and it's up for 7 million people in Hong Kong to choose their CE. Any other views? If not, that's the end of the session. I thank members and deputations for attending, and we'll take a break here, and the 5th session will begin at 5.